1, 2,
3. Oh, I'm going with the next one. Okay. Death Clock played the first show in 5 years, which is huge for me.
I didn't even start the show yet.
What are we doing?
I didn't even start the show yet.
What the hell? I thought we already did the intro.
No.
Wait, I never said. I never said welcome to Red Sound Review.
We've just been dicking around this whole time.
Oh my god! I thought we did the intro there.
No, now we are.
Right
We're
after
on.
King Diamond. Oh, you fuck!
I can leave that in. I don't care. You know what? I'm going to leave it in now.
Leave the dicking around in too.
I'll
Just
leave them in.
2 intros.
Welcome to Rat Salad Review.
Oh boy. What's up, guys?
Oh, man, yeah. Grandma. What's up, Grandma?
Not much.
Not much. Same old, same old.
Yeah, just
Situation.
listening to some King Diamond here as he shouts "Grandma" incessantly.
Nate, I heard you just said same old situation, huh?
Yeah, which will launch us right into the news. Motley Crue are back with
What?
Def Leppard and Poison.
What
yeah,
are you
I know,
talking
like,
about?
No one's heard at all, right?
Nobody.
Yeah, no one's ever heard this.
I think we're breaking the news right now.
Motley Crue.
Oh, my
What? Never
Didn't they
heard of
break
that
up?
band. Wish it was White Lion.
God. Didn't they break up like 5-6 years ago or something?
Yeah. Then they blew up their breakup contract.
Oh my god. Isn't it so fucking dumb?
Which at least that was a cool way of doing it.
Isn't that dumb?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's dumb, but I wanted to see Motley Crue, although not with this lineup. So
You want a John Corabi?
no, not with this like show lineup. Like I
Oh,
don't want that metal band's opening. Yes, I want John. That's the only thing worse than Fat Vince Neil. Come on.
Well, you're out of luck
Just to bring
because
John
part of the
Corabi
reason Vince is fat is because he ate John Corabi, unfortunately. So that reunion's not in the cards. Sing my songs, will you?
But he's gained like how though? He's gained like 2 John Garapes.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's a roadie or Doc McGee or somebody disappeared in there somewhere.
It's like Little Shop of Horrors. They just keep feeding him crew members.
Now, do you think he's gaining weight because he's on some kind of medication?
No, I think
Probably.
he's gaining weight because he's a fat piece of shit.
You think so?
I don't think it's a medication. It can't be.
No.
What would it be a medication for?
Depression? Anxiety? Anything?
Well, he is diabetic, isn't he?
Oh, if he's diabetic, then, that could be another reason.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I heard that. I remember Troy saying something like that when we talked about this like a year ago.
Oh, really? I don't remember. Huh. Yeah, because you'd think he would be in better shape, because if he's playing live like all the time,
Oh, wait.
I mean, you could live with the beer gut, honestly, if
Right,
he
you
would
can.
sing properly.
Right.
It's just he's
But
always
no,
so out of breath.
He's an
and-
inhaler between sentences.
Yeah. Yeah, when they played that song, I forget what it was on, like some award show or something, and they played, we did it last year, that song, it's on YouTube, anybody can go and watch the Motley Crue YouTube thing, and he didn't sing one word to that song.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Guys, we all need to band together and give Vince some help because life's a lot like taking a crap. Sometimes it comes out easy and sometimes you just got to give it a nice, big, hard, slimy push.
Oh, I was going to say sometimes it comes out easily and sometimes it's his solo career.
Oh, yeah. God, wow. No, his solo albums were so bad I forgot he even did them.
But the other funny Motley Crue thing is now all their stories about them, when they were breaking up and stuff like that, when they were going to sign the contracts, and everybody's, all the old stories are coming back. And the one that came out today was Mick Mars saying that if it ever happens again, he would give everybody free concert tickets to the shows.
Fantastic.
So I guess
I'll
everybody's
take
getting a
him
free
up
ticket.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
And
sit
then-
through Poison for free.
Yeah, why? If it's free, why not?
If
you
it's
know?
free,
Well,
then I
Poison's
guess
probably going to be on first. Just show up late, or go get your snacks and your drinks
I'll
while
just
they're
do what
on.
I did with Maida, and I'll just get blitzed before the show, and just not remember anything until halfway through the main set.
Yeah. And then Nikki Sixx said he'd have egg on. Well, the whole band would have egg on their face if this ever happened again. So I guess they are having egg
There's
on
so
their
much
face
egg
right
there. There's so much egg there. It's a quiche.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say if part of the reason they're doing it is because, Mick's getting worse and he may not ever be able to do it again. I support that. That's
I'm
kind of
surprised
cool.
he can do it now.
And I know they all really enjoy
Well, they're going to shove
performing.
a stick up his ass and work him like a puppet is actually
have
how they're
to.
going to do it this time.
You're gonna have to stick like a freaking
Mick,
like a mop.
Mick the Muppet Mars.
Yeah. Wow, this is fitting here. Here we go.
What do you want?
All right.
I don't know.
I'm leaving this in the show.
I'm doing the podcast.
Dude, I love that hat. You look like Boy George on the
Do I?
cover of that Culture Club record.
I'll tell you.
I'm
I'll
a
tell
I was thinking
comedian.
Devin Townsend, to be honest.
Devin Townsend. I don't know why. This
Yeah,
is my
but
favorite thing
that's
to do with the
not.
hat.
But that's not as funny as a Boy
Nice
George
voice.
reference. Yeah.
Not at all.
So we're
All right, so
talking
what-
Motley who? What? Motley Crue?
yeah.
That's
What other
great.
news we got, Nate?
Well,
What's the-
Death Clock played the first show in 5 years. Makes
Wow.
me real excited. I'm
I
a
didn't know they
huge
were gone.
Clocketeer.
Are you
I'm a
really?
Clocketeer for life, yes.
I never watched that cartoon. I thought it was a cool idea, but when I watched it, I was like, who cares?
You're not too into death metal either.
Not really.
Yeah, I like the cartoon. I never got super into the music. The most I've really listened to it is when Nate's played it for me. So
Yeah. But you never listened to the second album either when they actually became a death metal band.
no,
That's
not
what was
really.
different there. All right. And then next to the news, Marilyn Manson replaced Megadeth on the 2020 North American leg of the tour of Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, thank God! What a good
Well,
replacement.
I just
know-
saw him in Fargo a couple months ago. He was pretty good, but I'd much rather see Megadeth because I've already got tickets.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
me too. But I was gonna say I haven't
You
seen
on
him
the floor
since
too?
2003. What?
Are you on the floor too?
Nah, just that I'd rather see Megadeth. I haven't
Uh.
bought Ozzy tickets.
Oh,
I
I
was
thought you
thinking
had a
about it,
ticket.
but no. Mm-mm.
Well, I mean,
But
people are
he
gonna
always
judge
put on a
Marilyn
good
for
show.
Yeah. People judge Marilyn Manson for a bad performance, but it's like Dave Mustaine somehow got worse at singing.
Yeah, well, he's never been a good singer anyway.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Glad he's pulling through with that treatment, though. That's good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What else we got?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
glad
not.
he recovered and so quickly too.
I'm not a Marilyn Manson fan at all. So
I think
Love their first
hit or
album
miss.
I know you keep saying that.
because it's
All
good.
right. All right. Ex Mortis' van crashed for all of those people who like the power thrash out there.
Mhm.
And they
That sucks.
set up a Patreon to try to get a new van and U-Haul because both were ruined.
Really?
Yeah, and they're currently on tour with Death Angel. So if you want to help support, if anyone wants to help support that and get a great show bill out of it, I've seen both live. They both are pretty killer.
Yeah.
I'd help, but I'm too broke.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Heard
on.
that.
It's on their. What's the page that it's on? It's GoFundMe.
You
You
could
said?
I think it's on I think it's either on Kickstarter or GoFundMe. I couldn't quite
Alright.
remember. I
Well,
put the
look at
article in the thing. Yeah.
Sure, there's probably a link to it through that article though.
I'm sure.
Oh, well, I forgot.
I just
Children of
posted it.
Bodom now have to change their name.
Oh,
as
yes.
well, which I find absolutely hysterical.
Why is that hilarious?
That's
Why?
the biggest Uno reverse card ever. You fire 3 members of your band and then you can't use the name anymore. That's absolutely hilarious.
Well, I thought they voluntarily left.
I thought you fired them.
No, I think they just left. I think they had just
Maybe.
kind of agreed to leave, kind of thing.
I thought they had ceased to exist years ago, so this is all very interesting to me.
I saw 'em
Seriously.
I saw them a couple of years back. They were pretty good. Lost Society and Carrick Angren opened. That was a really good show.
Yeah.
I got a free shirt. I just found it in the pet. It's somewhere in my abyss of metal shirts.
I saw them open for a couple people years ago and didn't care for them.
I think they're good live. I'm not a huge fan of their albums.
I do. I like them. I have all their albums except for the last one. But they started getting kind of like weird the last couple of years.
Well, at least they're not In Flames.
I like them too.
They're pretty close though.
Yeah. In story,
close, but then,
music
like,
story wise, yes.
At least from what I remember.
Oh yeah, they're both from Sweden. And children are both from Sweden, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere like that. I don't know, all that mellow death stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, what else?
It's a shame though. You know, it's a cool band name, but they probably just shortened it to like Bodum or something, or or something weird like that.
Children.
Just
call it children, but in like a metal font.
Yeah.
They should shorten it to Bodo, Bodo, and then all dress like killer clowns from outer space. Because that's one of the things they say over and over in that movie.
Okay.
In other news, Sabbath got super drunk on stage.
Oh, yes.
And I thought it was going to be funny, and it was really, really depressing.
Really?
Oh, you watched it? Is there video?
I mean, it was funny as hell, but yeah, there's video. There's video
really?
footage.
Oh.
It's funny the first couple of times watching him fall off stage, but then you realize, oh, this guy's got a problem.
Oh, he actually fell?
Yeah.
Really?
He couldn't do lyrics. It was like 2 songs in, and he had to cut the show.
Wow. Yeah, I know that he had to cut the show, but I didn't know he fell and did stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it was a disaster.
Maybe it was hot. Was it hot out there?
I don't know. It was in South America.
he was suffering from exhaustion.
You never know.
He was suffering from cold.
Have you ever
dehydration?
Have you ever worn face paint? Huh?
Yes, I have.
It's just getting into his eyes.
I mean,
dying.
King Diamond wakes up out of bed looking like this.
Yeah.
You know? He's not always just like, cooled off and, ready to go. He's
Grandma!
got to have a drink or two to cool him down.
Where's the meatloaf?
You think he eats meatloaf?
Yes. Made from infants.
Thought it'd be made from Grandma. You push her down the stairs.
It's Grandma's recipe.
Nice and tender
this tastes like
all
Grandma.
Nice it does taste like Grandma. Fucking tobacco. That's how King quit smoking, is eating tobacco. Yes. He's got the red all over the face paint.
Tobacco.
He's like a toddler eating spaghetti.
Just turned him into a cannibal. Nice. Real nice. Hope you're proud of yourself. Anything else?
I thought Greg might be interested in this one. I did not put it in the group chat, but I remembered it from my notes. David Vincent's putting out an autobiography called I Am Morbid, and it's coming out in February next year.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, that should be cool.
Morbid Angel.
The lead singer from Morbid Angel. Well, former.
Rob Halford's putting out a new Christmas album.
Cool.
Last one was pretty good. Probably won't buy it, but And last one, I'd say not Fest
Enough
FC
with the Christmas albums. I just want to say to that.
Bad Religions was great. Bad Religion's Christmas album kicked ass. And the last one I said, Not Fest at Sea is starting next year.
Where's Ken Wood? I need Mr. right now.
Oh, I thought you were doing that other guy.
Oh, yeah. Not a lot of wiggle room here.
Oh, God, too funny. But what, Nate?
Not Fest at Sea is going to be a thing next year. So, metal cruises are apparently like podcasts. Everyone's got one now.
Didn't you have another one about Lamb of God, too?
Oh, yeah.
I remember reading.
For Pigface now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that would be a pretty gnarly show.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good, actually.
I recognize the name of the band.
Industrial kind of super group.
Oh, okay, that's why I recognize it. Yep. All right, is that it?
My dad interviewed that guy back in the main guy from Pigface back in the 90s or something.
Why would he do that?
Because he was on college radio.
Oh, really?
But he was like late night, so he got to play all like the obscure shit.
Yeah. So we should have your dad on the show instead of you.
Probably. He's more qualified, to be honest.
Wow.
Not in this topic, but in, like, musician interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you stink, Craig?
No, I was trying to straighten the hair on
Wayne, it's called a musk. Get it right.
I wasn't sure.
No, I wear deodorant. I wasn't checking myself. I was wiping my mouth with my sleeve.
Wiping my mouth with my sleeve. All right.
There's just a piece of spaghetti hanging out of his beard. It's a blonde hair. What are you talking about?
I had burritos.
Oh, boy.
Somehow there's still spaghetti. That just means it's older than the burritos.
Maybe you had a spaghetti and meatball burrito.
That
sounds disgusting.
Don't knock it till you try it. All right, we have
tried it.
Yeah, whatever. You probably like chicken and waffles too, fat boy.
What the hell's wrong with chicken and waffles?
No, I'm with Greg on this one.
No
Fried
fucking
chicken seasoning
syrup on
doesn't-
fried chicken.
Have you ever tried it?
A good fried chicken seasoning doesn't work very well with syrup.
Exactly.
Good fried chicken is seasoned fried chicken.
Have you ever tried it?
Exactly. Yes, I have. And with marinated seasoned fried chicken, it's awful.
Well, that I can
Right.
see it's awful. Yeah, you don't put seasoning.
Yeah, but if you don't season it, what's the point of fried chicken?
You just put salt and pepper on it.
Exactly.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah.
That doesn't get passed through the delicious grease layer. What are you talking about? Salt and fucking pepper.
Nah, you want to do fried chicken right, you always marinate it first.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not a big fried chicken. Well, yes, I am. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we have a guest on, and I'm going to give him a call. How about that? Are we ready?
Is your refrigerator running?
What the fuck does that mean?
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert's in a can? What?
Perfect.
And a funny story. In January of 1997, we were called by the owner of the Mason jar. His name was Franco. Everybody knows Franco here. And he said, because we were a weekend headliner already at that point, and he said, listen, my band on Monday canceled on me. Is there any way you would do me a favor and just show up and play? And so we thought about it, and we said, yeah, of course we'll do it. So we showed up and we did our show on Monday, and we even made a joke. We said, since it's a Monday, we're going to wear the least amount of face paint, possible. So we just put a little on. We played the show. There's 30 people in the whole club, and not much going on. But after we play, I was sitting on a bench and I'm covered in blood, and I think I was smoking a cigar. And Marge comes running up to me and she's like, Franco's talking to a man who really wants to talk to you, and you got to come with me right now. And I thought, what? There's like 30 people in this whole place. So I start walking towards the bar, and Franco cuts me off and he goes, listen, dude, this guy here is real and he wants to do something good for you. And I'm like, what? So I walk over there and I shake this guy's hand, and he goes, hi, I'm John Baxter. I manage Rob Halford. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, you got a hell of a band there. And I said, well, thank you very much. And he said, the problem is I'm not looking for a band. I said, well, what are you looking for? And he said, a vocalist. And I thought real quick, this guy's got Rob Halford. What the hell does he need? And I'm like, so for what? And he said, for Black Sabbath. And immediately I could feel all the blood rush out of my legs, And I'm like, could you repeat that? And he goes, for Black Sabbath. Few people know, but Rob had joined Black Sabbath briefly. They were planning a world tour and an album. And he said, Rob and Tony Iommi had a falling out. And so the last 6 months, Sabbath has been auditioning guys. Tony hates them all. But I watched your whole show, and you kind of sing like Ozzy. You resemble him a little, and you move like him. Would you be interested in auditioning for Black Sabbath? Do you think you could sing that style of music? And I said, yeah, they're one of my favorite all-time bands. So he called Rob, who was in L.A. at the time, right in front of me, and he said, Rob, I think I found the guy for the Sabbath gig. And this whole time, it was like surreal. It was like, this isn't really happening, And he hangs up with Rob, and he hands me his card, and he says, call me on Friday. So for 4 days, I barely slept. I don't know what I ate. I was like nervous. And I call him on Friday, and he said, Pat, you're not going to believe what happened. And I said, what? And he said, literally a couple of days ago, Ozzy agreed to rejoin Sabbath, and they're planning a world tour. And that's when Ozzy came back, because he had been gone since 78 or 79. Nobody saw it coming. And Ozzy rejoined Sabbath, and they did a world tour. So half of me is jumping up and down going, wow, Ozzy's back in Sabbath. And the other half of me is depressed going, man, missed the audition by that much. And I'm not saying I would have got the gig, but I'm saying it would have been a real honor to even play one song with those guys, you know, to have had the opportunity. But things happen as they should. And, you know, the world wants to see Ozzy singing with Sabbath. They don't really want to see anybody else other than Dio when he did it, you know. Tony Martin was there for 4 albums, but it really didn't do very well.
Ian Gillan did a good job.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to see Ian Gillan.
Well, not nowadays, but...
Favorite Sabbath albums of all time. I love that album with Ian Gillan. I have 2 CDs from that tour, one that was in Stockholm, Sweden, and one in Chicago. And it's the whole show with Ian Gillan singing for Sabbath. And they ended each night by Sabbath playing Smoke on the Water.
Yep.
Yeah. I love Born Again. It's a great piece of art.
You should check out the remaster series. They add on the track they cut in the studio. It's called The Fallen, and the soundboard recording from them playing the Reading Festival in '83.
And where can I get that at?
It's the 2-disc remaster of Born Again. They got it on Amazon or we'll talk after the interview.
Yeah. I love that record, man. Ian Gillan was great with them.
Oh, me too. I thought it was it's my favorite Sabbath album overall. It's just it's awesome. Yeah,
it's one of my favorites too. Yeah.
You know, I feel like they have a great album like that from each lineup. With Ozzy, for me personally, it's the first album. I know there's cases to be made for other records. What?
Yeah.
Almost inclined to agree, but like Master Reality is so good too.
Well, I heard the first record and Paranoid first.
Yeah,
so
Volume 4, and I love Sabotage. And I saw an interview with Sabbath and Ozzy, and they said that they basically don't even remember making that record because they're so wasted.
Yeah.
They said they didn't care for that album, but I love Sabotage.
That is that's not one of my overall favorites, but I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like what came before it a little bit better, but I saw an interview with Geezer Butler once before that, and they recorded that album at the same time the Eagles were doing Hotel California. He said they used to have to scrape about an ounce of coke out of the mixing board before they could even start recording.
Yeah, I'm sure that was hard on them because they all liked coke back then.
Well, he said then they would snort it all up and do it all over again.
Right. Yeah, I liked it because it had Hole in the Sky in it and Symptom of the Universe. And just
That's
some
a great song.
But, you know, Sabbath was hurting back then, and they were getting ready to kick Ozzy out, and that's why on Technical Ecstasy, they had Bill Ward singing a song, and Tony, you know, wanted to go in a different direction. And, you know, things happen as they should, I guess. And, you know, they had plenty of good success with Dio. It wasn't quite what they had with Ozzy, but it still did really well.
No. Yeah, but Heaven and Hell is also one of the best albums they've ever done, too.
Yeah, that's a classic.
I mean, and it was such a breath of fresh air because, I mean, there's stuff I like off of both Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, but they're not up to par with previous records.
I agree with that totally. Yeah, they're just not as strong, and you can almost feel the breakup coming, you know, in those records.
Well, yeah, and you know, that's funny. It's one thing I always felt about the title track to Never Say Die, you know. Everybody loves it, and here's the thing. I like it as a live song when it was done later, but the actual recorded version of the album sounds like shit. Ozzy doesn't sound like he wants to be there. The rest of the band sounds like they're falling apart.
Right. Right.
I like
And
that
you
song.
know, the funny thing is, when you go back and look at a lot of the Sabbath albums, the production wasn't that great. I mean, and these guys probably spent a lot of money to get producers in there. And, you know, of course, the technology is better now, but people with a home studio right now can make a better sounding record than those, you know, and it's just amazing to me.
Oh yeah, it's it's pretty insane to think about, really. I mean, that wasn't really all that long ago in the grand scheme of
Right,
things.
right. But, you know, things change and whatever. I'm glad they finally did get back together. And, you know, I would have liked
Yeah.
to have auditioned for him, but, you know, God, I love seeing Ozzy sing with Sabbath. And, you know, Marge and I went to the final tour here. But I think, you know, I think Ozzy and the band are really, like, they ended, you know, but you could kind of feel it was coming because these guys are 70 and they're tired, and, you know, massive tours like that must just kill them, you know. And I imagine when Ozzy retires this time, he's going to stay retired because, you know, what else can you do? I mean, you can't put
No,
out the power at 70 that you did when you were younger.
No, not at all. What we say, Nate?
okay. First of all, Sabbath is probably my biggest regret that I didn't get to go see. I thought it was going to be like a Kiss sort of thing because they'd already done the last tour before. But second of all, I don't think Ozzy will ever completely retire. I think he's always going to do one-off gigs and festivals and stuff like that because the man loves performing too much.
He does, and we all do. Like, you know, I'm 57, and I think about, you know, when I need to retire from metal because I don't want to stay so long that I can't do a good job anymore. And like that last tour with Motley Crue, we went to that. I could not understand one word that Vince Neil was singing, not one. You know, and that's
Whoever
sad
still
for the fans. You know,
Yeah.
the same thing with Van Halen. Like, you know, when they tour with Roth now, he talks the lyrics, and, you know, when you love certain songs by a band, you can't sing to a guy who's talking the lyrics. You can't sing along,
Right.
you know. And yeah, it comes to the point where you have to know when you're done, because you don't want your fans or your families coming up to you going, you know, dude, you probably should retire, you know.
Yeah.
You don't stay around so long that you can't do the job anymore.
Yeah.
I'd rather walk away knowing I can still do a good job and leave it, you know, like that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people can't seem to do that though.
It's hard. I get it. Huh?
However, I would like to make a point for recent Van Halen with Roth, though, because I grew up listening to those Van Halen records and I loved them. And I had to deal with the fact that it was fucking Sammy Hagar in there and they were playing that horrible version of what Eddie does. So when David came back in 2015, I got to see them. You know, he did sing. He may not have hit all the high notes, but he did at least try, and he did the whole show in a lime green laser shoot. But it was still David Lee Roth, and it was Van Halen, and it opened with Light Up the Sky, and it was awesome.
Right. I saw them in 1979.
Really?
At the California World Music Festival at the stadium in Los Angeles. And then I went to the US Festival in 1983. And that's where I kind of started getting mad at Van Halen, because they were the headliner. They got paid $1.5 million to headline one show. They came on like an hour and a half after the Scorpions, and the Scorpions were incredible. And then they weren't very good, you know, and David talked a lot, and he appeared to be drunk, but I don't know if he was or not, but just kind of sloppy. It was a really sloppy performance, and a lot of people walked out of that gig upset, you know.
He claims he was hammered.
Well, I think he was. He fell down, you know. And that's the thing, you know, where, again, I'm all for partying, but don't sell your fans short, man. These people were out in the heat all day. They waited for Van Halen. At least put on a professional show and then go get drunk.
Yeah.
You know, because these people love you and they pay the money to support you. You're living in a nice house with a nice car because of the fans, and they deserve to have a professional show. That's just my opinion. But, again, I think being on stage is an honor. I don't think it's a right. But I've never made it, big like those guys either. So, maybe I'd be a complete dick if I made it. I don't know. I hope not.
I don't think so.
I just like the idea of Van Halen just David Lee Roth walking up on stage and just stating, "I got it bad, so bad."
Yeah.
It's like when Alex Trebek reads song lyrics.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But he was one of the best showmen ever. When he was young, he was incredible. That guy's a showman.
Yeah. He still is in his own way. He's got a podcast.
He's still pretty entertaining, though. Why?
Yeah.
He's pretty eccentric still. He's still got that David Lee Roth attitude.
Absolutely, he does. And see, I started to get a little tired. I hate to say this because they're one of my all-time favorite bands of any genre, which was Pantera. But the last couple of years there, and I've probably seen Pantera at least 10 times, and at the end there, Phil kept talking and on stage, and a little bit of talking with joking is great, but sometimes these guys just don't stop, and he just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
Huh?
Phil was a junkie, too.
Yeah, he was. And so it really hurt the show, and it hurt the band, and that's what I'm trying to say. You can't go to your job and get bombed and expect to keep your job. But for some reason, when we're in music, we take liberties and we think, oh, well, I'm up on stage, so I can get as fucked up as I want. But all those people in the audience, they're paying their money, and some of them people don't have a lot of money, so they're saving up to go to your show. And I just think that, you've got to be a little more professional.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I got to move locations, so I'll
Go
rejoin.
ahead. This ain't your show. You got to get to the studio anyway. You guys are practicing tonight. You said, right?
We are at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What time is it now over there?
7:20.
Okay, so you got a little bit of time, right?
I live close by where I rehearse, so it's no problem.
I didn't want to keep
plus, the band knows I'm doing this, so.
All right, cool.
Oh, cool.
Got a helicopter flying over right now, so if you're hearing it, that's what it is.
Oh,
coming to get
I
you. That's the band. They're coming to get you. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, I have to say, I've actually been checking out the Arizona metal scene a lot lately because I got real into a death metal band from down there, Gate Creeper.
Yeah.
And you guys have a really strong, really diverse scene with some good bands.
We do. There is a lot of incredible artists and bands in Arizona. And you know what? There always has been really good metal bands here. Like I said, this place was booming in the 80s. And what we had here, which was different, like in California in the 80s, you had the glam scene in LA and the thrash scene up in the Bay Area. In Arizona, both were mashed together. You had glam bands playing with thrash bands and everything, but you always had a lot of really good professional musicians here, and it's still that way to this day. I know tons of bands around here that you go watch them and you think, man, why aren't these guys touring the world? But sometimes it's the right place at the right time, or sometimes it's somebody, or I don't know. We never worked really hard to get signed. Like, I got in touch with Brian Slagle at Metal Blade, and he's a really nice guy. And we submitted 4 different albums to him, and he turned us down. And I never really went after any other labels, which is probably my fault. So my thoughts was, instead of waiting for a label to find us, let's just make a bunch of records on our own label. We'll sacrifice, Marge and I will sacrifice going out to nice dinners or whatever. And she'll save her days off at work, because at her job, they'll pay her for sick days or vacation if she doesn't take it. She'll actually save a lot of those days and give us the money to go record, and we'll scrape together everything. But when I make a record with Saint Madness, I don't listen to local bands here. I listen to All My Heroes albums, and I listen to their production. And we try to come as close to that professional production as possible. So
yeah, Bloodlust Capades sounds great.
Yeah, I'm really proud of
it. You mix and record all that stuff on your own, or you have somebody else do
No,
all that stuff?
We go to a studio here. It's called Mind's Eye Digital. It's owned by Larry Elia. And of our 11 albums, we've recorded like 9 of them with Larry.
Okay.
And he's just great. I mean, he's really laid back and he has great ideas. And again, Marge calls him the 5th Beatle or the 6th Beatle. Larry's not all emotionally wrapped up in the songs. He just hears what he hears. So if he hears something that sounds weird, he tells me and we discuss it. And in all these years, we've never once had an argument. You know, we just work really well together. He knows what we're looking for. And you'll notice in all our albums, if you listen to any of the other ones, we have a very drum-heavy album. Like we bring the drums more up front instead of a lot of the metal bands in the 80s had the drums more in the background. And I don't like that. I want the cannons up front. So we pull the drums out nice and big and loud. And we do that on all the records.
It's the way it should be.
Well, you know, everybody's got a different ear, you know.
Well, I'm a drummer, so they always have to be.
A guy like, that makes sense. A guy like Yngwie Malmsteen, you know, maybe he doesn't want the drums way up front, you know, he wants the guitar. I understand that. But in our band, again, I want the cannons up front, you know, they're the power. And so we always mix the drums loud.
Yeah, it always depends on the band too. You know, whatever sounds right with that style of music. You know,
absolutely.
The drums don't always sound good with every style.
Yeah, and in between making all these Saint Madness albums, I put out a solo acoustic record in 2010 called The Edge, and I had members of Saint Madness on it, but I also pulled in other people, other musicians I knew, and had them do little parts here and there. And it actually won the Phoenix Music Award for Record of the Year. And we're in the middle of finishing up the follow-up now 10 years later. We're making another one called Last Days in Paradise. And I have all the guys in St. Madness on it. And I have a violinist coming to play on the 30th. He's going to record on 4 songs, and he plays with like symphonies. And then I have another friend who's like a multi-talented musician named Dave Cornwall, and he puts in all kinds of orchestration and a little bit of 12-string guitar here and there and things like that. But again, you know, I like variety and I like all different kinds of music. So I just, you know, and in St. Madness, we have a rule. If we write a song and we like it, we're putting it on a record. And if it's a reggae song, so be it. You know, we don't worry and go, hey, we've got to put just 10 or 12 of the heaviest things we can come up with, or you know, if one's kind of bluesy, like, okay, on Blood Lescapades, you have the song Walk Your Own Path, which, you know, really kind of a Southern rock type of song. But I wrote the lyrics for my youngest son, Dylan. And because I didn't raise Dylan, he was raised with his mom and stepdad. So I thought, you know, I'm going to put in one song everything I wanted to say to him growing up that I couldn't say because I wasn't there. And so, that song to me is amazing. I mean, it just came out beautiful.
Yeah. Now you have another song.
I really like that one.
Another song dedicated to who was it dedicated to? He's riding a Harley in heaven.
My stepson John, Marge's son John, unfortunately passed away July 3rd, 2016. And he was living in Detroit at the time. And the last conversation I had with him on the phone, he said, Pat, you know, all I want to do is I want to get on a bike and just ride. And so when we were talking about writing a song in tribute to him, I decided to use the last things that he had said to me, you know, and put that in the song. And now, Blood Lescapades, right? When you start the record, the first thing you actually hear is the world turning. And that's actually real because I took that sample from NASA. NASA
really?
filmed the world turning and the inner world and the sun. And if you go to a NASA site, they have all these on there, and you can, you know, they tell you this is actually what the sun sounds like. This is what the world sounds like turning. So I put those in there. The first thing you hear is the world turning, and then you hear a motorcycle pull up. And that symbolizes that throughout the record, you'll hear a motorcycle either drive by you in between songs or in the middle of a song. Or it'll pull up and stop, and then it'll take off again. I did that to symbolize that John is actually listening to the record with you while you're going through it. And then the last song on the record is he's riding a Harley in heaven, and then at the end of it, he rides off, and you hear the Hallelujah, and he rides off to heaven.
Cool.
It's a concept.
All right. I didn't realize that.
I'm gonna have to listen to it again.
I bury a lot of stuff in our music and in the artwork and stuff, and I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and Beatles and the Pink Floyd, they were the bands that started with a lot of sampling and backmasking and all this stuff, and I love adding things like that because I think it makes the recording a little more 3D. Like if you put on headphones, it takes you on a trip, and it has a lot of atmosphere. So I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of bands don't do that nowadays, so it's cool to hear stuff like that.
Well, a lot of kids nowadays, they don't care about a concept album. Like they hear a song they like by a band, they go to Spotify, they stream it for free, and they don't care about all the other songs on the album. Yeah. It's not like you grew up and you couldn't wait for like your favorite band. You heard they were coming out with a record, and you couldn't wait to get that record in your hands. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just not like that anymore.
Yeah. And then you would read the lyrics and
and all the liner notes. Yeah. And think about it. Bands sign a record deal. Well, how can you sign a record deal if there's no record anymore? Because nobody wants to pay for it. People don't want to buy your CD anymore. Right. They just want to stream it. And so you're not really signing a record deal anymore. You're signing a merchandise deal or something like that.
Yeah, say what were you saying, Nate?
Oh, I said that's why I always recommend music to people by the album usually.
Yeah. See, Nate, even though he says he usually recommends people to buy the album, which is good because he's 20 years old, and that's not usually kids his age don't think that way.
Well, I'm just talking even listening wise. I don't recommend one song. I recommend an album that I like.
I agree, and see, people don't understand with your favorite bands. If you don't buy their product, that band can't continue to exist.
Exactly.
They die off. Yeah. So buy the CD, even if you never play it. Just buy it because you love that band. Because when you buy the CD, a lot of that money does go to the band or a percentage. Man. But if you don't buy the CD and you buy just digital, sometimes they have to have, 5,000 hits before they make a penny on digital. So buy the CD even if you never listen to it. Just buy it to support the bands you love, whether they're underground or big major stars, because there was an interview with James Hetfield not that long ago, and he said that when Metallica tours, they actually lose money. Because think about how many people they employ and how many semi-trucks. And, as they go across the world in the country, they have to, all these people depend on them for their livelihood and to feed their families,
Yeah.
And so he said they actually lose money now.
Wow.
They have to deal with all the costs of putting their records out in stores as well because they have their own record. They have their own Blackened recording studio, or what's called Blackened Studios.
Yeah, the record label. Yeah.
Well, remember when Lars was mad about Napster?
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I was kind of mad at him too because I thought, rich assholes complaining about not making money. But as time went on, we all, even underground bands now, we all suffer because of it. Because people, they just want it for nothing, And then you got your friends calling you going, oh, I hear you're playing tonight. Can I be on the guest list? And can I have a free T-shirt? And I love your band. I'm like, well, okay, if you love the band, pay to get in.
Yeah.
Buy a T-shirt. Because that's what keeps us out there. If we're making money and we're a little bit successful, hell, we're not going to want to quit. We're going to keep at it, But when you're just scraping by, forever, it gets really difficult.
The only reason they're complaining is because they know what it's like to scrape by. And they're the only people with the resources to speak out.
Yeah, and like I said, at the time, I was kind of like, oh, Lars, shut up. I was thinking, but looking back on it, the guy was right. And he was really trying to stick up for all musicians, not just Metallica. He was trying to say, look, everybody's going to suffer from this.
Yeah.
Not only did Metallica come from, being a basic bar band in an underground genre like thrash as well, sort of a glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Nobody knew when these guys came out.
Breaking that level of Pantera.
None of us knew when they came out that they were going to become the biggest metal band of all time. they became bigger than all their heroes.
Yeah.
Who would have?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? But they did.
Everyone except Ozzy.
Yeah,
I was-
except Ozzy.
I was at a cigar shop here in town that I go to probably 4 or 5 times a week, like 2 weeks ago, and James Hetfield walked in for real and bought cigars. I
Wow.
was stunned. Because I guess he's
Yeah,
in
so
treatment
that's
here
what he's doing
because he's
for
been
rehab,
in alcohol rehabilitation treatment, and
Yeah.
they have good ones here. And I guess he's probably here because he just comes strolling in the cigar shop, and I'm like, oh my god, that's definitely James Hetfield.
Incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
now you just gave his hiding place away.
Yeah, and I left him alone because I went through treatment myself, and I know when you're drying out and stuff, you can be irritable, or you kind of just want to be left alone. And so I was respectful. Believe me, I wanted to jump up and down and go, James, I'm in a band too. James, I love you guys, and James. But I didn't. I just, I left him to himself.
Yeah, well, that's good.
It's
All
hard to do. I wanted to give him a blood skip record.
He probably already has it though. You don't know.
You never know.
Probably already
It's
got
funny
the
because
stick,
we're Saint Madness, and then they came out with Saint Anger,
Right.
and we put out a song in 2000 on an album called "Scare the World" that is not pro Metallica. It's a song called "Money Pigs." And again, I was pissed off when they did Load and Reload and all that. And again, the metal scene was dying. And I used to say to Marge, at least we still have Metallica. And then they kind of switched. And I was like, fuck that. So I wrote this song called Money Pigs, and we put it out. And we actually got like a little paragraph in Rolling Stone magazine where they were saying Saint Madness was trying to have a bitch fight with Metallica. And they're kind of making fun of us. And the guy goes, hey, next time, why don't you put Visine in their coffee when they drive through the Burger King drive-through where you probably work?
Oh,
Cool.
That's pretty funny. But we still got a Rolling Stone magazine.
yeah.
But anyway, so right after that album came out,
Selling out.
2000, then they came out with Saint Anger, and I thought, wow, that's kind of a coincidence,
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to approach James at the cigar shop and say, hey, have you heard my song?
We were talking about metal, and you were
I
talking
think
like
Money
your
Pigs
favorite,
is on there. Huh?
your favorite of the big four is Megadeth, and you were talking switching over from metal. I mean, like even Cryptic Writings, they did that,
Right.
and then like they go into Risk from there, and then on
Risk?
top of that, they've got 3 greatest hits albums. Even Metallica
Right.
hasn't done that.
No.
Think about it. If you think about all the Metallica albums, think about the production on Kill 'Em All, and then on Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, they had their own kind of production. Kill 'Em All had its own. And then Injustice for All with Bob Rock had a different production, and then the Black Album. It would be very difficult for them to put out a best of to try to mash all those different productions together unless you went in and actually remixed all of them to try to make them sound more sonically the same level volume wise, and you know what I mean, where Megadeth, a lot of their albums are very similar in production.
Yeah.
That's why we can put out best of, because I went to the same co-producer for 9 out of 11 albums, so we could sonically make the old songs sound closer to the newer stuff and have it work together as a package. Whereas I think Metallica would probably have a difficult time of it.
Yeah. What were we saying, Nate?
Well, I'm saying I don't, unless you're doing it by the decades like Maiden did. I never really saw the point in more than one best of album. Especially when you have more than 5 albums out on it.
Yeah, we have
Like
2.
Megadeth did.
We have 2, and the reason is, like I said, in 2000, I figured the band was over, so I did a best of, and a best of for us.
Oh, right.
It's not a best hits.
Yeah.
It's the best of, meaning fan favorites. They're fan favorite songs. And so we did another best of in 2013, Carnimetal, which you have. Again, I was thinking, well, maybe we're at the end. And then we decided to do Bloodlustcapades. And so, and we have Live 55 since Carnimetal. So I don't know where it's going from here.
Yeah, I have Carter Metal. I just don't know where it is. I have a mess over here, so I can't find it.
But it's a fan favorite album. It's not a best greatest hits because we don't have any greatest hits. We had one song that was covered by an artist bigger than us, and the punk band Guttermouth did a remake of our song Sexual Abuse, and they put it on a record that was called Punk Goes Metal. And we ended up getting just over $10,000 in royalties from that, and we just took it and put it right back in the band.
Yeah, smart thing to do.
Yeah, so we didn't have big hits or nothing, but we did have a lot of songs that the fans really enjoyed, and so I put those on the best of.
Cool.
Right, and it's also a different angle from like you and Megadeth. It's
huge, yeah, huge different angle, right?
Just a little.
Yeah, and I've met Dave Mustaine and Ellefson. They're Dave Mustaine. I had at least 3 encounters with him. I actually met them in AA at AA meetings.
Wow.
And Dave couldn't have been nicer to me every single time. He was nothing but pleasant and nice and polite. And David Ellefson is a great guy. I mean, when you meet him, he's just a regular guy. He doesn't throw any rock star attitude or any of that.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like he does.
He's Minnesota homegrown.
Yeah, just a nice person. You know, he's actually involved in his church here. And in AA, he was sponsoring young people. And, I mean, he really is a genuine, good human being.
They're from Minnesota, so that's why they...
I live here.
You're not from here, right?
For anything, really. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of bizarre. That was like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Shit happens, right? They're back now, so that's all that matters.
But I've never been around Dave Mustaine when he's drunk, and that's when people say he was kind of a dick. And I think it's interesting that he got kicked out of Metallica for alcohol problems, and now James is in treatment too. And I mean,
they're both addicts. If anything, like Mustaine understands, you know?
Right. He would understand. And I wish they would do one tour and have Mustaine come back. I don't care if they have 3 guitar players. It would be so huge.
Kick ass.
It would be so huge. I mean, who wouldn't go to that, you know?
I'd be floor seats the moment they came out. I'm a Metallica fan because it's,
you know, just one. Just give us one, you know? But I was thinking maybe it would get there when Marty Fried and Menza left. I thought, hey, maybe they'll put Ellefson and Mustaine in because, you know, but it didn't work out that way.
I'd kill for Chris Poland back. He's my favorite Megadeth guitarist. Like, the first Megadeth album is my favorite. It feels the most cohesive and the least like the Dave Mustaine project.
Yeah, I love So Far, So Good.
That's good, too. But I would kill for Chris Poland to rejoin Megadeth.
Yeah.
Because he and Ellefson have been doing Megadeth songs lately, apparently.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, that's cool. Dave, and then Dave Ellefson bought Combat Records now. He owns it. And he signed 2 bands out of here. He signed a band called Fatal Malady, which they're theatrical like we are, but they're more of a mix of hardcore and melodic. And they're really good young band. And then he signed a band called Autumn's End. But then right away, their guitar player, Chris Canella, I understand, just joined Deicides. So I guess Autumn's End is no.
Well, that's funny now that Dave Mustaine owns the label that put out Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
It's like the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame they don't still own the rights to Kill 'Em All, because that would have been just full circle.
That would be it. Yeah.
All right. I don't want you to miss band practice.
I love it.
Metallica's good. Megadeth is.
I'd rather talk about this than myself.
I see that. I'm trying to sell your album, Blood Escapades.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll pop everybody's balloon. I only like Metallica's first 2 albums. Other than that, I think it's garbage.
Love the first 4.
Yeah,
I only love the first 4. You know, like Death Magnetic is okay, but it sounds like they were trying to cross Injustice for All with the Black Album. It sounds like a mix. And then Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I was like, it just didn't do much for me, unfortunately. But the first 4 albums, to me, I enjoy them every time I listen to them.
I love Spit Out the Bone off the new
I like
That song
about
kicked
3
ass.
songs off of Master of Puppets, and I Can Live Without and Justice, except for Blackened, maybe. I mean, one's a good song, but
Dyer's Eve is awesome.
Yeah. But like Load and Reload, when that stuff came out, I thought it's a load of crap, But
yeah.
again,
I don't
my
like Load
opinion,
very much because I'm not a huge Clutch fan. And
but there were tons
Load
of
was like
podcast records,
right.
So I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying it's my opinion.
I don't know. It's kind of like Metallica trying to sound like Primus, and I'm not a huge Primus fan. So it's
I love Primus.
Primus, Clutch, kind of bluesier.
I've also done a lot of
Shut
LSD.
Yeah, Clutch is amazing. Then Metallica played Lollapalooza and everything, and looking back, they probably did the right thing for their band, but not necessarily the right thing for their hardcore fans. You know what I mean? Because they gained a shitload of more fans when they went more commercial and started with the Black Album. And it kind of pushed them over into the AC/DC kind of category where, who can touch AC/DC? Probably nobody.
Right.
And that's what happened to Metallica. Really, nobody can touch them. They are what they are, and they're the biggest of all time.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
they are our Beatles basically, because the Beatles were huge back then, and no other band really did what the Beatles did until Metallica came around and they got huge. So
right, and you know what? On our records, our own manager Marge and my girls, she doesn't love every song. She's got a lot of songs where she's like, I really don't care for that, but you like it, that's fine. I mean, I don't expect, huh?
Craig said maybe Kiss, but Kiss never hit the heights that Metallica. I mean, they did selling their merch, but not like music-wise.
Right.
No,
and
because everyone realizes Kiss's music is kind of,
I mean, I love Kiss.
It's not nearly as good as the whole act of it,
Right.
No. We'll see, like with Metallica, though, I heard all the new wave of British heavy metal bands first, and it was like, so what? It sounded like a faster, Sweet Savage to me. I'm not saying it wasn't good. I'm just saying it wasn't life-changing for me like it seems to be for so many other people. And but Megadeth, on the other hand, Killing Is My Business and Peace Sells, But Who's Buying, and So Far So Good. I love So Far So Good, except for the Anarchy in the UK cover. I think that was a terrible choice by Dave. They never should have done it. But that was different. They had a lot of jazz rhythms and shit. The guitar playing was wonky, but it was amazing. Yeah.
The cover of These Boots was fucking awesome. I love that cover.
Yeah.
What Dave Mustaine did is nothing short of a miracle, because think about it. He got kicked out of a band, and he was so resentful that it drove him to make a killer band, and he made it big with his own band. And, I've heard he's upset because Metallica made a lot more money, but he made a lot of money in his own right. And how many people get kicked out of a band, and then out of their frustration, they put together another band and go big? I mean, he's one of the big four.
Yeah.
I mean, he really pulled off a miracle. I wish I knew him better, because I tell him that, you have every right to be proud of yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I only ever met him once, like you, after he was sober, and in Jersey, he really likes Ocean City down on the shore, and he would always stops in this place called Mac and Manco's Pizza to get a slice, and him and his wife happened to be in there one day, and I was like, holy shit, it's Dave. It just said hey to him, how you doing? Just basic bullshit, and he was a really cool, really nice guy.
And she's a gorgeous lady, huh?
Yes, she is.
She is, boy. He has a gorgeous wife. He really does.
It was strange to see Dave Mustaine wearing a Hawaiian shirt, I will say.
Right?
That was a little unexpected. But
right.
Still be better than Corpse Grinder. Corpse Grinder, that'd be funky.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a guy like him, like just a mountain of a man in a Hawaiian shirt?
Right?
I mean, they have them like that in Hawaii, but they're not white usually.
Yeah.
You don't see
You
guys
know,
like that usually.
So even at my level, which is underground, I've had a really great life. I've got to meet most of my heroes, and the biggest band we ever played with was Van Halen in 1998. But they had Gary Cherone singing, which I'm sorry to say, I just fan of that.
Yeah.
But we did get to play on that show, and so it was, it was a huge honor. But even in the underground, that's why when people get in a band and they don't make it in 2 years, and they go, guys, we gave it our best, we didn't make it. I'm like, I never got in music just to make it. I got in music because I love music, and I love writing songs. I love recording. I love the whole process of it. I love performing. I love the ritual of getting ready to perform. I love the excitement of it. And, if all I ever do is play in the underground, I'm just fine. I've had a wonderful time.
All the heroes that you met, did you meet one that you wish you didn't meet?
Well, if you're asking if I met heroes that were kind of dicks, it's really funny. I went to Ace Frehley's book signing, and they said, when you get up there, don't say anything to Ace, just let him sign your book and move on. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not like that. So he's sitting down, I'm standing over him, and he's wearing sunglasses. And I go, so Ace, I got your new Anomaly record. That's what he had put out right before his book. I said, is that your heaviest album? Because I think it is. It sounds really heavy. And he looks at me through his sunglasses. He goes, I don't know. And then he signed my book. And I started laughing, because I'm like, wow, Ace Frehley was a dick to me, right? And I turn around, I look at him, and he looks at me over his glasses, and he goes, glad you like it. Funny voice, I think he felt a bit of a dick, but I wasn't.
Everyone in Kiss is a raging dick.
Well, I tell people that, look, artists, actors, politicians, they're all just people, just like you and me. Sometimes they're tired. Sometimes they just had a fight with their old lady on the phone right before you met them. And we'd like to say in a perfect world, be nice to every fan, but they're just human beings, so I give them a pass on that. I still love them.
Yeah, but it seems almost like inherent, like genetic, with especially people like Gene Simmons.
Paul Stanley and Gene couldn't have been nicer when I met them. Nice as could be. Gene's full of himself. You can see it. And again, he's fucking Gene Simmons. I mean, I can't judge a guy because if I was in his place, maybe I'd be 100 times worse. Paul could not have been nicer. Really, really took time out for every single person that came to talk to him.
Paul was like bearable, yeah. I'm just glad to know that he hates everyone in Kiss as much as I do.
Yeah. But no, whenever I've been people, they've been cool. Like when James Hetfield walked in the cigar shop, he was 2 steps in the shop, and I go, okay, I'm just going to ask you, are you James Hetfield? And he goes, not today. And then he walked past me. And I said, oh, you really are, right? And he goes, not today. And so I thought about it. This guy can't go out for a sandwich without people berating him. So I thought, I'm just going to be cool and sit back. And I was watching him walk through the shop, and he kind of looked at me out of the corner of his eye. And then he came over and sat by me, and the World Series was on, and he said, so who are you rooting for in the World Series? And I said, the Astros. And he goes, so am I. And then his buddies came and had his cigars, and they left. But, I just felt like this poor guy probably just wants to chill. And I'm just going to chill,
Yeah.
So they're
He
just
hasn't
human
cut
beings.
the hair, right? In rehab. He hasn't gotten a haircut, right? In rehab.
His hair's short.
Still long?
It's
Okay,
nice
good.
short.
What?
It's short.
Oh, he was growing it back again, and I was so excited.
You're going to get a bald spot on top. And I don't know how he fixed this. But
Never stopped Dio.
In the early 50s, Kirk Hammett, you could see, because we had seats above the stage, you could see he was going bald in like 91. And he still has the same hair that he had then. And I'm like, how the fuck did he do that?
It's good. It looks fine from below the bald spot.
Yeah, but so James has a bit of a bald spot up here, You
Bummer.
can see it. Like, I understand.
I mean, Lars is obvious. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like me.
But
Yeah,
that's not the most enjoyable part of Lars. I never cared about his hair. I was like watching him drum like a orangutan.
right. And like you were saying about Dio and Klaus Meine of Scorpions,
Oh yeah.
you know, they didn't care that they were going bald, and I thought that was cool too. You know, they didn't try to wear a wig. I mean, now you got so many bands putting on wigs and stuff, and I'm like, oh.
Right.
But even
Dio
Paul
was looking like
Stanley wears a wig. Paul Stanley wears a wig.
Yeah, yeah.
Dio was
Yeah, so
looking
does
like
Gene.
He's bald.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 But again, it's show business, I guess. And in show business, you can do whatever you want.
I think it's weirder too when they dye their hair once they start going gray. Like, I mean, Ozzy does it and it looks all right, and same with when Lemmy did it. But with some people who are doing it, it does just not work.
I do it too.
I was gonna say.
I mean, you're in 480p. I can't even tell.
I haven't. I got a little gray coming in now, but if I don't dye this shit, I got a lot of gray. And I just figured, you know, I like the black hair look, so I just dye it blue black. And
I mean, I don't blame you.
I was married in the early '90s, and my wife at the time goes, "You know, babe, if you want to look sinister, you should go with blue black." And I said, "Well, she knew how to dye hair." And I thought, "Hey, I'm married, right? I'll dye my hair. My wife will dye my hair forever." And a year and a half later, we were divorced. And now I'm like, okay, now it's $60 to have somebody dye my hair. I learned to do it myself.
Yeah.
And so I just started dyeing my own hair, and I've dyed it ever since.
Hey, good for you, man. I was like when artists just kind of accepted it, like Scott Ian. It was like one year it was balding, and the next year it was just.
I had cancer in '05. I had cancer, and I shaved my head. And I like the way I look bald. And to be honest with you, though, my old lady is like, she likes me to have some hair, so I don't shave it bald. But I had no problem with shaving it.
You got to suck in the sun over there, though. Be bald like that.
It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. But I've lived here since 1986, and I love Arizona. I love the desert. You know, to me, this is home.
Yeah, there must be something about it, because I know Rob Halford and Alice Cooper live out there, too. I got a buddy in Phoenix who used to work at a Starbucks, and they both came in together one time and got coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Rob Halford in the 80s and early 90s, he used to go out to all the local clubs and hang out with local bands. And Dave Mustaine and David Ellefson showed up one night at the Mason Jar. They got on stage with a friend of mine's band and played songs with them. It was really exciting. Those were exciting times, you know, and that's the thing that in so many scenes now, it seems like the bands are so discouraged and they're so beaten down now because there's hardly any labels to sign them anymore. And if they do sign you, they give you $10,000 and throw you on the road. And that's not a really good record deal, you know. A lot of labels don't have the money to put in you anymore. And I think a lot of bands just feel defeated and they don't. Here's something. You guys tell me what you think of this. And if you guys do this, I don't mean any offense, okay? But most of the bands that I've seen in the last probably 10 years, they're all up there with half stacks or amps, and they're playing metal. And see, when we came out, when you played metal, you had full stacks, you had a big show, you had big sound. All the bands have gone now to just little amps or little half stacks, and I'm sorry, I just ain't wired that way. I can't do it. Saint Madness will never play on stage with just an amp. As a singer, I want to feel the power coming out of the stacks behind me, and I don't use in-ear monitors. I like the live sound. And for me, I just can't wrap my head around that. Here you're playing this big, aggressive, powerful music, and you're like Spinal Tap up there with Stone Edge.
Right. Right.
And I don't mean to offend anybody because so many bands do that now. But I'm like, isn't metal about power? And sometimes your visual is almost as powerful as your music.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know? Like in the old days when you'd go to a show and the band wasn't on yet, but you'd see all their gear on stage, you'd get excited. You'd see all the sound up there, those stacks, and you'd be like, yeah, I can't wait for them to come on. Well, I've seen people there with practice amps, and they might. The sound comes out the PA, it does. but it doesn't give you the same tone.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't give
It's
you that
not.
whole time.
That's like you know, because I'm a drummer and we're talking about Metallica, but Lars, he always had that signature white and black drum kit.
Mhm.
Every time you saw that thing, that's Lars and that's Metallica playing
Your
up there. And then
adrenaline got going.
now we switched it to the little tiny
Kirk
drum
Hammett's
set,
guitars. I love
Yes,
Mhm.
Kirk's guitars are cool. But yeah, I hate when drummers. Although now I just bought a 5-piece drum kit, but I have an 8-piece drum kit, and I always like the bigger kits. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you laughing at? What's so funny, Greg?
Everybody else.
You know, and I'm not saying go overly crazy, but I'm just saying like us, you know, we have the boogies,
Yeah.
and we have a rhythm guitarist and lead guitarist, and they have full stacks of Mesa boogies. Bass player plays through Rampeg, and you know, I like the big look and the big sound, and that's just because I'm old. You know, in my era, that's what you did, and I still do that.
Yeah.
A lot of our local bands sometimes plug into the headliner's gear just because there's no room to put extra gear, so that kind of helps boost the
Yeah.
sound a lot of our local bands have.
When we played at Milwaukee Metal Fest, they backlined you, and basically all the bands played on, you know, unless you were headlining bands and you brought everything yourself. But all the bands that came from the underground from around the world, they would provide a backline of Marshall stacks and a drum set, and, you know, usually it was Ampeg bass or whatever, and you played on whatever they provided.
Yeah, and the only things that are getting switched out are like pedal boards and all that crap.
And cymbals, you know, foot pedals, stuff like that. You know, you bring your own guitars, and that way you can switch bands in and out quickly too.
Right, especially when you got like 8 bands in a lineup because you decided to stick 3 local bands before.
Right.
Which is cool.
But
I like
in Phoenix, very few bands use the full stacks anymore, you know. And
That's a bummer.
we're one that does, and that's just because we're a bunch of old guys, I guess.
I don't know. My band right now are way too poor for full stacks. So it's
That is
But
just these
see-
big stacks from Wendy's.
We were too, but we saved our money and we sacrificed, and we wanted that, so we made sure that we got it, you know.
Yeah. All right, well, get the band practice. I want people to know. Go pick up your latest album, Bloodlustcapades. Right?
Yeah.
Is there a website where people can go and pick this up at?
You know, it's funny. We had our own website for years, and we started getting more hits on Facebook, so we just moved everything to Facebook. So
Yeah,
just
people doing it.
facebook.com/Saint Madness, I think.
Yeah.
But you can find us on there.
And your shop's linked through there and everything.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
really, if you want to order an album, just write me personally or write the band. We'll make sure you get
Okay.
it.
All right, cool.
So-
All your albums are available?
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no
thanks
problem.
for coming on.
I'm glad you came on. I didn't expect to go this long, but you're a great interviewer, so it's good. Great. Actually, I'm going to make you 2-parters now, though.
I'm so glad that Matthew hooked us up. That was really
I
cool.
am too. Yeah. I really. Thank you, Matthew Schaffer.
Hell yeah.
Yep, thanks,
Thank you,
Matt.
Yeah. So, is there another album in the works coming out soon?
I don't know. Right now, like I said, we're all just finishing up the recording of the second. It's not really acoustic this time, though. The first album that was my solo record was all acoustic. This one has more electric instruments. So this album will be a little over an hour long. And as soon as we finish that, we'll focus in again about writing some new St. Madness stuff.
All right. Cool.
So,
Sounds good. Well, you'll be hearing from me soon at some point, getting the rest of your albums.
cool.
All right. Well, everybody go out and go get their latest album, Bloodlustcapades.
I think we froze.
You'll love it. Nope, you're still here.
Oh.
I think Greg probably just fell asleep because he's
Hello?
high as a kite right now.
No,
You can't hear me?
Yeah, no, it just froze.
no,
for a
he's
second.
right.
Okay.
It keeps freezing.
Oh,
Yeah.
does it? All right. Well, we better end it before we lose everything.
Yeah,
All right,
after
again.
rehearsal tonight, I have to run to the airport. I'm flying to Boston tonight.
Oh, really? Wow, you're busy.
Yeah, my 84-year-old dad is still there, so my youngest son and I are flying out there for the weekend. We're coming back Sunday, so
Oh, wow. Well, happy birthday to him.
yeah.
All
thank
right.
you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll have you come on when your next album comes out, your solo project.
Thank you, and hopefully then I'll have the whole band do it. We'll just sit around a table or something.
Yeah, sure. Maybe we can have the first live band ever play something on the show. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, because we could do the filming over at our studio where we rehearse, and it's really cool. It's got a lot of atmosphere.
All right.
That
Cool.
picture I sent you, the picture of the band that's taken in our studio, and if you look in the background there, it's really cool. It's kind of like a museum to Saint Madness because we're such an old band. We have so many banners and so much shit in there. You know, it's really fun just walking in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I saw the picture. Very cool picture. I wish I would have saw that one earlier because I messed up the picture earlier, but
nah, it's no
all fixed
problem. We've only had our rhythm guitar player for about a year, so
okay.
he's new. And oddly enough, he came from Colorado, and he was playing in a band in Colorado with our founding guitar player, Van Pearson, who after he left the band, he moved to Colorado. And he was in a band with him, so then he flew out here and joined his old band.
Wow.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a coincidence, huh?
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Yep, you're welcome. No problem.
Yep.
You too.
Thanks, man.
See you soon. All right. Good night.
Bye.
All right. Stitcher, Spotify. What else are we on?
Twitter,
Podcast,
Facebook,
iTunes,
Apple Pie
Facebook,
Podcast, everywhere. Google Play.
RedSaladReview.com.
Yeah, everything's at RedSaladReview.com. We have Timo Tolkki. We have the King Diamond broadcast this broadcast belongs to them. What else do we have? Oh, with the I Don't Even Like podcast show. Lou Mav's Music is Life podcast. Our show, this one, and the Album vs. Album show. And that's all I can think of at the moment.
I think that's all we have.
So go check it out and tell them Rat Salad Review sent you. All right? All right. Until then, we shall see you next week.
Show.
Bye.
Later.
Yeah.